Good evening, everyone. Tonight is the Springfield Township Board of Trustees work session. Today is April the 28th, 2015. Mr. Bernie, roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Bernie?
Present.
Mr. Arnold? Present. Mr. McFarland?
Present.
All trustees are present.
Thank you. Let's start the meeting with Township Administrator Report. Mr. Henningham.
Thank you, Mr. McFarland. We had kind of a long list of items today, most of them updates. Start with one, just schedule-wise, just remind the board that the police and service department open houses will take place, both of them will take place down at the service department location, and that's on May the 9th, Saturday, May the 9th.
I will be out
there. But there's a series of demonstrations and different things that go on throughout the day. And police will come down there and do their demonstrations with all game. Also, some less lethal force display. So,
And that was from 1 to 4, right?
1 to 4 here.
That was 10 to 2.
I had it down originally.
I think it
I think
one
they
time,
changed
it's off in the morning, but it is 1 to 4.
The sign out front says 1 to 4.
I wrote down the calendar 10 to 2, but somebody told me that one time. I got me somewhere to go.
And also, just wanted to kind of review with the board an item that's becoming more and more of an issue of late, because everybody knows the ash tree issue. We kind of go through ash trees in our parks, and it's these things that die, we probably around to take these trees down. Where we can, the service department, we try to do it ourselves. If there's a tree in the right of way or one that's dead or causing a problem, we'll take the ones down that we think we can reasonably handle ourselves. It's a big tree. Tom said it's probably 7 to 10 just this week that we've got calls on. We're in the right of way, and they're completely dead. They're not alive or dying. They're completely dead, and you come down. On average, you're looking at, it's very, depending on the tree you're talking, maybe $800 by 12, depending on the tree.
I got one in my backyard and I got it for 1,600.
Yeah, that's what, the big ones, some of these aren't, they're in the right of way, they're not terribly big, but that's not always the case. So we get good price and all that sort of thing, but I guess the question he's bringing up is, technically a right of way tree is not belong to the township. And we could, in all likelihood, require that the homeowner take it down. We call sometimes homeowners are asking us to take out a tree, which is technically quote unquote their property. And it's an odd deal because every time you say, well, right of way is not that property owner's, which it's not, that tree doesn't belong to the township, we didn't plant it. And it kind of falls into that nebulous area where sidewalks, that sidewalks in the right of way, you are by law responsible for repairing that sidewalk. It's got to crack, it's got to be, that's not practice. That hasn't been the township's practice. I just want to, this is getting to be and will continue to be a huge issue for the township. So it's going to be a huge financial issue. And before we decide one way or another, we need to have some discussion as to are we going to remove those trees at the township expense, or are we going to look to assess homeowners to allow them a period of time to take care of it themselves. It's a tough issue. It's just, it falls into that sort of gray. Most communities assess it, they make the revenue.
Well, I would think so because if I have a tree in my backyard or my side yard or anywhere else in my yard, it's my responsibility. Even though there's a right of way, I don't see how you can say it's not my responsibility. If it's in the right of way, it's on my property. I know it's quote unquote not that.
Yeah, it's really not in your, I mean, you have different types of right of way. There's fee right of way, which would mean it's not a right of way. There's some which is simply easement right of way, where technically it is your property.
From the street to
it varies. In your subdivision, in new subdivisions, it's what's known as fee. In other words, you don't know that property is actually owned by the public entity, whether that be case of township roads, it's owned by the township, this fee property. But,
Just like you expect me to mow that 2 feet or whatever it is.
I thought it was, they own, it's a right of way, they have a right of way. The township doesn't own it, they have a right of way on it. They can take it for nothing at any time, but the owner's got to maintain it.
well, we own the property.
There's different kinds.
There's
I was
different
gonna
kinds.
say, the different kinds
In
of-
order subdivision, you have what's known as easement right.
Right.
Right, but you can take it,
The property owner, that's where we take it.
if you expand the road or do something, it's,
Yeah, it's
You
there,
don't take it.
utility easements is there, you cannot prevent anybody from being in there, and you can't do anything with that that would obstruct it. That's easement right away, where the property owner actually owns the center of the street. We have plenty of that in our township. Newer subdivisions, I would say probably 60s, definitely the 70s and 80s, it's all done as fees right away. And my property, my subdivision, the township owns that right away. That is our street, not our pavement, but we own that right away. It's not owned, it doesn't show up on a survey, it's not on your property. So it is actually owned by that jurisdiction.
The modern approach is issues developed.
Nothing unique about
I'm
it.
just thinking.
Different ways they did it over the years.
Right, but they did some construction work down in the valley, Dale. The trees there were trees planted, but the
Yes.
individuals.
And if those trees needed to be removed, but I think we indicated that those trees would become the property owner's
Okay,
responsibility to plant that.
all right,
Because they wanted to plant that.
true.
We removed a bunch of trees when we did the widening of that street, and the homeowners wanted those to be replaced.
Right.
And he said, yes, but those become the owner's responsibility.
I think the trees are like the grass, I mean, they're responsible to maintain it. I mean, if you start doing that, you could have $100,000 a year in tree removal.
And we were heading in that direction.
Most communities will come out, most of the communities will come out and mark a tree similar like they mark sidewalk blocks and tell you that you have to take this tree down or we're going to do it and assess your property taxes for it, just like they do with sidewalks. I'd say 80 to 90% of the communities operate that function.
I think we need to make it clean to make our neighbors in our community aware that this is their responsibility. I mean, not have any gray area. So, and that their property can be assessed. And then they are responsible. My understanding in another community, they're responsible for removing. I know there are a couple of people who are on fixed income seniors who couldn't afford to remove it.
There's going to be no easy solution. Because the minute you go one way, you're going to have situations like that, or this is going to feel like, well, I didn't plant the tree. And probably in most cases that individual didn't. They bought the property with the tree on there. And then they're going to say, well, it's not my property, it's in the right of way, which they're technically going to be right. And the law is really sort of fuzzy as to how that works.
I would think most people would assume, and I believe me, sure, I'd like to have somebody else take it down, but if I had a tree on my property and it was in the right of way, and if it was dead, I would assume it's my tree and I would have to take it down.
It's the same logic that applies, in a certain way that you do have things in the right of way that is your responsibility, that is your responsibility to maintain. Take the driveway, for example. That's in the right of way too.
And they cut the grass, simple as that.
So, let me take it a little further. Some of those trees, we went through and trimmed them.
We will trim, I don't have a problem with, the problem is where we can do it on our own, I think the township can do it. Where the case, that's a service that we can provide because while there's a staff time issue, if we could take these trees down, we would do it. It's just in cases where we have a tree that's so large that it's beyond the capabilities of our bucket truck. And or where, now you've got a situation where we're going to cut it the right way,
Right.
the way it's going to fall out, where you need a tree expert.
Well, especially some of the big trees, if you're not a tree expert, you kill yourself.
Absolutely. Our guys, they don't go beyond what they feel very, very comfortable that they can handle. They're pretty conservative in where they'll extend their abilities. But it just needs trimming. And if it's a case where there's wires involved, if it's in the right of way, that's a pretty easy one because people can go out and trim those.
Right.
They'll at least top the tree and eliminate any kind of fall hazard where the branches are breaking off and they're going to fall on the street or they're going to property or somebody's car. So, I mean, one of the things we could do if the board generally is leaning that way, or if we go back and finalize it, we'll do some final research on what some other communities are doing.
I would like to see what other communities are doing. I think we need to probably talk to Laura as to
Yeah.
liability,
I think
as to
most
dead
of-
trees.
I think in most communities in Hampton County, it's a homeowner responsibility.
I think that's what we'll find.
The thing is, and I talked to John Musselman this week about it, what we're telling people, I think, is if the tree has dead limbs, we'll cut them off. If the whole tree's dead, then it's the property owners.
Absolutely. We're gonna do, and if it's a small tree, we'll go out and take
Just
it.
take it down.
We'll take it down. Anything that we can handle, we're gonna.
We still got our check.
Yeah, it's a service that we're gonna offer. It's just that when it gets beyond the extent of our capability,
Yeah.
now we've got to have a contractor do it. But to make no bones about it, if the tree's dead and we determine that it's a hazard, it's got to come down.
Exactly.
Right.
We will pay that. It's the same thing like I said with sidewalk. If you don't fix it, we'll fix it for you and you'll be assessed. Just like when you cut your grass, it's like any of those things. When you cut your grass in your property, it's going to get cut. It's just a question. We may end up doing it, but then it's going to be assessed back on your tax bill to do that.
Well,
So
my question, Chris, what's the process legally to go out and cut a tree down? Do we have to cite them, do a nuisance thing? You know, we saw what happened with the lady on Reading Road this week. I saw another huge tree that fell out. Sharon.
In fact, no, I can't cite them because our codes only apply to private property. So if it's in the right of way, my codes don't even apply.
So we can go ahead and.
There's a section of the Ohio Revised Code that you can do it in. That's off the top of my head. I can't remember what the section
Let's
is.
have Laura look at
It
it.
basically,
Yeah.
it's very similar.
Right-of-way maintenance.
It's right-of-way maintenance and very similar to sidewalk.
Okay.
It's the same, it might not be the exact same section of the code, but it's in that same thing.
Okay.
Let's research it and then come back.
All right, no, so we come back to something. That gives you some general direction, which way you want to go, if you want us to just take them down, there's a cost, it's just budget a certain amount, and we're going to blow through that budget pretty quick, because there's just hundreds of these things.
That was my other question, is I take it we have not tried to inventory.
Yeah.
On our property.
On our property.
On our property.
We, like when we're doing the street maintenance, we aren't going around saying.
I think we've done that in certain neighborhoods, yeah, I have with John to see, you know, I know Mark Olden did that, I want to say 4 or 5, probably a little longer than that, when this issue first came up, Mark did it.
I remember that.
And we had that, the problem is, you know, you inventory how many ash trees, now the question is how many are dead.
Now that they're dying, yeah.
Then you need to probably do it again.
Are there really, that many huge trees in this right of
I think
way?
they said just in Glencoe, they had 7 of them in one day.
Oh, my goodness.
They went out there because called for one, and they were out there, just never came out, that day came out, so.
I've had 4 that tree taken off my property, and I have to have another.
In the right of way?
No, but still, I was just saying, there's lots of trees that are,
Right.
and these are 100 feet high, I mean, they're
Well,
huge trees.
I had 8 last year removed in my backyard.
Okay, I've been doing one at a time, until they're dead, I wait till they die.
They're tough issue.
And then when they're dead or hollow on the inside, it's a real hazard for the experts who are, accustomed to taking
It
trees.
is, maybe sometimes.
Well, I don't think when they hollow on the inside, I'm afraid they're gonna fall on the house. So,
You're right, if they get too bad, they're just gonna climb it.
Right.
That's,
Right.
and then you
I
really.
don't know how they do it anyway, this guy just picked up one hand, and he's got one hand, and he's 100 feet in the air, top branch, I'm like, are you kidding me?
Well, I watched them go stand up like
I did too.
like an animal.
A squirrel.
Yes, they do.
All right, well, that gives me direction, so I'll report back on where we're at with that at the regular meeting. All right, I think at one of our earlier work sessions, we talked about some of the issues we're having with the county regarding snow removal, specifically on Wayne Roads. That was a big issue in running great in the mess, and we got that cleaned up. And we have had meetings with Ted Hubbard and Eric Batch from the county engineer's office. They both understand the issue. Ted's indicated, every bit of desire to work with us to solve it. He's thrown out a couple of ideas, and where the township would provide the salt, and then he would use formula to reimburse us for that year it's not only just the snow removal, which will help immensely, but that should eliminate the mess and the cost of both us and to him to clean it up afterwards. And so he gets that. I think we're there. We just need to probably finalize that, come back to the board with that document. But in general, it's. I think
Well, we all know that he was very, you know, he wants to make it work for us. We thought he might be a little like, oh, I can't really help you. He really wants to help and make it work. And it's just a matter of, and I think we talked about the solution that it will work. The only problem is not them accountable, so they actually use salt on it. You don't end up with a bunch of gritty. That's our only concern.
Or they forget to go down once with salt and then come back 2 or 3 other times with half and half.
Right. So that's the only concern, obviously, to make sure they do whatever we agree to.
Yeah, so we'll try to work out that language, obviously.
I think it's time.
We've got a little bit of time, I'm hoping to
Give
hammer that out.
them an incentive. Do it.
Yeah, he's saying that he'll run a special route just for that, so we had that, some of that discussion.
Yeah.
Didn't work out, so.
The problem is the driver at 2 in the morning, if he's trying to get done, it's not gonna fill up with
That
salt.
whole thing is gonna be a battle,
Well, it's good that we're communicating and the exceptions and we're gonna have a solution.
Well, it's the busiest road in the township, in
Right.
some cases, when the snows, the road was in the worst shape than my street, which is no traffic.
And that's what we told him.
It doesn't make any sense.
Plus, actually, you know, the daggone grid, I walked it a few times, it was dangerous. Especially
It
you're right.
surely is.
And you're riding a bike or something,
Yeah.
So the areas where they didn't buy any salt.
I know.
And then when they did buy it, they had to pay, we paid like 70 and they paid
29.
120 something dollars a ton. So they bought as little as they possibly could.
I know.
And at the end, they were just using.
Well, his other issue, one of the things he also did mention was that they were, on a previous year contract, they were still owed, I forget what he said, how many tons, thousands of tons. And the contractor said, I'll have it. And it's like, that's it, well, what am I gonna do, sue him? So they had a breach of contract, but he had about 10,000, I think it was a pretty
So
sizable
it
number.
was 10 or 15.
10 or 15,000 tons of salt, that's everything they got.
And they
It's
already
gonna be in
paid
the
for it?
stock.
Well, they had agreed to buy it at this price.
Yeah, contract.
And then when the price went like this, guy said, I don't have any salt to tell you, I'm
That's not
sorry.
good. That's not good.
And like I said, like the sewer pretty much here, because they wouldn't have the salt.
I heard.
So he had to go out and find salt somewhere else
All right.
at a higher price.
So we'll, obviously, like I said, we get some time on that. I just want to give you a little update on the CIC activity. We are, as of today, ready to issue the grants. I think we have everything on that, ready to roll. In total, we had a total of 219 individual township resident grants. We've had 12 business owner net profit grants, a total of 13 applications, some was, both of them were supplied. So that's what it was. And then we had a total of 5 different companies, with a total of 7 applications for the extension grant. And in total, we had 4 applications that came in that we rejected. One because the individual didn't work in the township, one because the individual didn't live in the township, and 2 because the individual paid the tax when they should not have. They're not located in the JETs. This is kind of, in both cases, one was a guy who rented out his house, I mean, they run a business there, he's a contractor, so he uses his house as that address.
So you can get a refund from Rita.
We're gonna send them the paperwork, so they'll get their money back and so that they file it. The other ones.
I'm waiting for more people doing that.
Actually, it was actually for the most part, it came in. We did have 6 late applications. We will send them denial letters saying that they came in after the deadline.
I think it's a common customers doing it, hopefully we should see less fallout.
When you look at it and say 200 and roughly, what is that, 35, 238 out of 248, city property tax, and she didn't pay anything in the rent, so she can't get it back. And that was the case. Total grant amounts to about $78,159.40. Remember, that's for 5 months. That's what we'll be issuing. And then we do still have, like I said, we still have the 7 applications for extensions. So in October, there'll be some additional amount depending on what those come in at. Those are the extensions that we're requesting on the grant. And then also on CIC activity, we continue to meet pretty much on a weekly basis with St. Francis Group in talking about the core development project. I think we're making a lot of progress, still kind of in that preliminary scope phase, and talking about general use. They've done some preliminary testing of the market to engage in interest. And then we're still at option pricing will be kind of the next major step. In general, we did not meet today, but generally we meet weekly, so making progress on that. So, I don't know if we're headed to Western CIC road, and we'll update what's going on there.
It's a little too soon to give some sense of a determination.
Oh, yeah. I think early indications is there, some of his hunches of what will work there. He said, generally, as they're talking to people in the marketplace, they're generally getting kind of head nods like, yeah, I see that working, and yeah, there'll probably be some interest there. So I think we're starting to zero in on where we think there'll be some traction. Way early. We also talked some time ago about Station 81. This is the kind of the recall station, fire station, just up the road here on Wing Road, across the street from the YMCA. And at an earlier work session, we talked about possibly disposing of that property. I think given its proximity to this station, I don't ever see it being used as a working station, and of course it doesn't have the facilities to be able to do that. We really don't use the recall aspect of it now, given the size of the bays that we have here. And the equipment that's up there, I don't know the last time it's rolled, but in a backup manner. So it's just serving as a garage right now. And while the maintenance costs are high, and it is another piece of property we've got to maintain, it's not going to get better. What's that?
What would we do with the?
Well, I think that it would either move down here,
Okay.
or
If they haven't used it in years, then they probably sell it or be a
if there's something we need as a backup, we come down here, there's room, there's space for it here, and if not, we would liquidate it. Back in the day, it was a recall station for volunteers.
Sure.
It doesn't really operate that way. And with mutual aid and all those things, if you have something really that big, there's very few times you bring in your staff that pulls more equipment. You're getting it from your other departments because of the needs. So I've talked to Chief Liner about it, and while the pipe likes to have extra space for future, I would probably recommend that we move forward, take a more active approach to disposing of that property, get it listed. I don't know that it'll bring a lot because it's kind of odd. The building itself is odd, it's unresidential. It couldn't be lived in without substantial.
How many cars are there?
I'm going to say you got two, I think there's 2 bays, right? I can't remember.
Might be
Maybe 4,
maybe 6 if you really maneuver them.
Could you put a boat in here? Let's say you wanted a boat.
Usually, it's a boat.
That's
The big, I mean, that's the thing that I think you'll probably find somebody, if they're gonna buy that property. I know, I was telling Mike, the guy across the street from me has a 3-car garage, they're moving to South Carolina, they have a lift, they have lifts in their garage, the whole 6 cars in a 3-car garage. I have another friend down the street who just built a 3rd garage because he didn't have anywhere to store his 3rd car. And, I mean, there are people that would, buy something like that if they had 3 or 4, old, made up, redone cars, just to store their cars, because they run into problems in the wintertime, store them all the time.
And campers as well.
Actually,
Or campers, or boats.
Absolutely.
Or the neighborhoods does that same thing with us.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the market for it. It's, like I myself, for somebody to buy it and try to live in it, I don't see that. And buy it, scrape it, and put a house on there. That's the best location to build a new house, so, but it is owned residential, so there will be some limitations. It can't be used for a business purpose, but storage, you know, basically how it's being used now, we would probably issue non-conforming use certificate for that.
Well, why don't we put it out on the market and see what,
Yeah, see what it is.
see if it's worth.
I would look
Yeah,
at
maybe
it.
one of the neighbors would want to buy that piece of property.
Could be. I think the piece next to it is either for sale or it is just
I
recently
think,
sold.
I think it was recently sold.
All right, well, I'll start negotiating with a couple of different realtors and we'll see what the best deal is. Get that on one. Next item is just an FYI, I know you have copies of the township finance policy. This was something that we have basically had in place over the years, not comprehensively, but sort of incrementally. Most of those policies have been adopted, or at least that's been the direction given by the board when we operate finance department on with those policies. With Kent Cox coming on, it was a good time for these situation to sort of review everything that we're doing. Most of what's in that finance policy, is pretty much standard practice. There's very little that's a new direction or a new policy, but I think it's important that we have it in one place, in one document. It's been reviewed, it's been updated, and certainly can be added to or deleted to as the board sees fit over time. Although I think most of it's pretty boilerplate type stuff, not really out there. It just demonstrates kind of our conservative approach to how we budget and our thinking about things. So, not looking for any action tonight, but we'll bring this up, maybe some formal action at our meeting. So,
As I scanned it thus far, it appears very comprehensive, it appears very clear and transparent regarding operational, how to operate finance department and policies.
pretty standard.
It did seem
Pretty
pretty
standard.
standard,
I mean,
It
absolutely.
seemed pretty thorough too.
Yeah, we looked at a lot of different entities, and when you compare with cities, they do a lot of things that we don't do, but for the most part, most communities do something very, very similar to this. So it's not,
Yeah, I didn't see
it's
it.
not extreme, I would gotta say.
Right. Pretty generic, but.
Pretty generic, and it's also, it's always good to have that in writing, so that formally adopted, so that it's can take some direction and action by the board. Kind of along that line, the thought in finance is, as the board's aware, we have two bonds currently out right now, and what we've been we're looking at those bonds for an opportunity to refund those bonds. That's a term word, and basically saying
Sure.
refinancing those bonds. And the meeting with Andy Rosart, Fifth Third, who was an underwriter who did the bonds, at least one of the bonds, actually, I think both of those bonds originally were back in 2002 or 2003 when we did those initially. We did refund one of the bonds once, and it has one more opportunity to do that. So back, I want to say 2005, 2007, somewhere in that time frame, we had that opportunity to refund it if the rates had dropped. We did that, gained the value of those savings. The bond, the primary bond, the one larger one for that $8 million, that one is not ready, it can't be refunded yet. It will be as of September of this year. There is a smaller one that we're also looking at. If we were to combine those two, we would look at an annual savings of roughly about $64,000 a year, based on where the interest rate is now and where it is in the current bond. So, and that is net of all your costs to do it. The downside of doing the refund is you have to go through another bond rating and go through another what's called an official statement that would have to be done by bond counsel and so forth. But those savings are net of expenses of what it would cost. They wrap that way in overall.
And I think it's important to note that that's the savings across both the general fund, the police district, and the fire district. Because those bonds are shared costs among all departments, basically because of the building construction.
And it's Probably, off the top of my head, it's probably about a third, so about a third for each one of those things. Not
Mm.
exactly, but roughly about a third.
Makes sense.
So it's a no-brainer in my mind to move forward. I guess what I'm looking for now is for maybe a motion to move forward. What I would say is, one of the bonds is on my north side. I would go to them first, the smaller of the two, and just see if he'll drop the rate. You know, they could do that on their own, which means as long as we can gain the same savings, there'd be no need to combine the other two. You know.
North side on that, or new.
Well, it won't be Fifth Third's not divided.
Whatever,
They go out to
right,
market.
right, only the
Would
market.
would that change the maturity date of the bonds? So you keep the same maturity date?
I'm gonna meet with Jack Cordes, next week.
Yeah, north side,
And
right.
I think Jack's already indicated, he'd be with us, be happy to look at it. So if we can gain the same thing by them just doing it, obviously we'll do that.
They've always done a good job.
Yeah.
If it does the job, and then on the other one, is that becomes eligible for refund.
They want to be good citizens.
Now, the one will be eligible in September of this year?
Yeah, the north side one we can do now.
Okay.
Correct.
It's
The large one
eligible
is September
now.
this year.
The large one will be September this year.
Okay.
So just, like I said, if, one of the things we've got to do is get our council audit done. That before we go for a bond rating, it's sort of paramount right now with all the stuff that's happened in the industry, finance industry over the last 5 years, that they want to see have an audit. And unfortunately, we haven't had our 2-year audit yet. We're due for it any day. We're going to try to expedite that happening. It should have happened 6 months ago. The auditor's just been slow to get it done.
And this is at the state level?
State auditor determines whether they audit us or whether they're going to put it out of the contract. They have decided they are not going to audit us, they're going to put it out of the contract. They bid for 6 names, they've gotten bids back, and they just need to make the selection. They've told us the 6, we've given them our preference,
Okay.
and they'll make the selection. We have no control. The state auditor decides who's going to do our audit. We just want it to happen quickly, this summer, to get that audit done, so that we can, when we do this bond, Andy's saying, don't even go for your bond, for a,
Don't waste your time.
for a bond rating if you haven't had an audit for 2 years. Again, we don't control it.
Right.
That's, again, controlled by the state, but we want to try to push it and have
Absolutely.
them take us to the top of the list, because there's significant savings.
Interest rates could go up.
It could. Andy thinks he'll probably aim he's not worried about September. He said, I don't see anything happening, any indication that will drive him up. Beyond that, who knows? I think 2%.
Always be prepared for the unexpected.
So,
Right.
just need a motion to proceed,
So-
allows to proceed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chris, you want to start with the update on Beach Grove Cemetery and what kind of you were part of that?
As the board is aware, we've been at this for several years now, many years, to
Too many.
rectify the issues that we keep experiencing over Beach Grove Cemetery with basically lack of maintenance and lack of care of that property. As you know, we attempted to take that property back in several different processes several years ago, and it came to the realization that the county prosecutor had the opinion that you could not foreclose on a cemetery. Therefore, we could take it through a certain process, but we would be responsible for all the back taxes and the liens that were associated with the property. So not only would we inherit roughly 10 acres of very difficult ground to maintain, but about $200,000 worth of liens and back taxes as well. So the board took it upon themselves to propose legislation to the state. I'm happy to say that legislation passed several years ago, and right around the same time that the land bank that was getting up and running at the county level, which was good timing because we were able to utilize the new legislation, take the property to the land bank, which basically erased the back taxes and any associated liens. I'm happy to report that Gwen and I just attended a board of revision meeting, was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, which was basically the last step for the land bank to acquire these properties before they could turn them over to us. We are right now in that 28 or 38 day redemption period. As we're well aware, no one's going to it's pretty safe to say that within the next probably 45 to 60 days, we will be the proud owners of the Springfield Cemetery.
It's not like there's a whole lot of people surveying and getting.
Well, we're on.
No, I don't
think
think-
we have to, right?
Right, so,
We don't want to.
exactly right. We don't want to, but I think it's, obviously someone needs to be responsible for that property, maintain it. The church.
Should take care of it anyway.
Well, we've been cutting the grass under the nuisance laws, but yeah, I mean, we haven't had a legal mechanism to really go on the property and then do any long-term improvements that need to be done to make that property more in a maintenance condition for the future. So the land bank luckily will remove the dilapidated home and structure that's on the property prior to deed the property over us, so that's good. So we'll get it without the structure on it, and then we'll have to go in, like I said, do some repair to the property itself, just so that we can maintain it a little better than we have it. So,
What's the deal with burying? Can they still bury people there once we own it?
yes, according to Laura, she looked into it, we're responsible. If someone proves that they have ownership rights to a cemetery plot, we either one have to honor that, or we have to provide an alternative to that, which could be pretty costly to the township. So most likely, we'll try and find a spot and honor it.
But I think the key is going to be,
Records.
you know, as we take this to make contact with the church down in Rockland, and you know, who's going to area, to just say, let me see all the, you know, where are all the outstanding sort of, you know, plots that you sold. I don't want this to be every, you know.
Right.
I can't believe they sold a lot of plots because that thing has not been maintained for quite some time.
But there's still barriers, you'll see pressure,
Or are these people that own it?
It's a,
it's
How-
a mess.
It-
I bought from the big beech tree, they bought the plot 20 years ago, to be buried next to their wife, and she hadn't died yet, their wife's dead, and in the plot, so they don't be
So
buried.
the church has all these, or is that the only?
The church does not have good records at all. It's a shame, I think.
What you have is you have a case where you used to have cemeteries.
I understand what we have, but now we find out.
There was a de facto sort of transfer of that responsibility to this church. You know, the legal documentation to say they really own it is pretty much slim to none, but there's, or I said, there's some language of some paper where that sort of was implied, and that was intended. And so this church has been taking out and burying, I don't know anybody, or if it's just a parishioners, I don't know what the relationship is, and I think they do it at a pretty nominal cost. And they have done what little maintenance is, been done, and then been buried. And they've been doing that and continue to do so.
to answer your question,
And they really don't want to.
there's no requirement for record keeping for cemeteries. The Ohio Department of Commerce is the department responsible for whatever cemetery regulations there are, which there aren't very many. And there really is no way to require compliance for maintaining records.
And
So-
then if they were going to require it, my understanding is they have limited staff, maybe one person in the Department of Commerce.
So we just got people, wait for people to show up with a certificate saying they blah, blah.
Yeah, but
And that could be out there for 50
We
years.
do is check with the church to see what legitimate. It's going to take any little thing.
Well, actually, what they have now, what they show now, even though that may not be all, we'll get as much information as we can, we'll do the best we can with it.
That's all you can do. I mean, this isn't a clean thing. I mean,
No, it's not.
it's
So the
a,
law is horrible.
Always, we got it.
Legally, we have to take care of it, whether we own it or not, we might as well own it, instead of taking care of it.
And maintain it.
It's
so
been a
it looks
business.
nice. Yes, certainly.
Right, I mean, if we don't, we have to take care of it, so why let somebody come in in 10 years and say, you know what, I got the deed to that, and I'm gonna take it back over, and you say, you know, it's just not, I'm gonna take it.
What about the issue with the uncertainty knowing where people are buried?
Well, that should be a challenge.
You know, at some point, we're probably going to need to go out, you know, if we've got burials, we would probably have to hire a company like Underground Detective or somebody that does the monitoring. There's a lot of companies that do that.
How big is the shed?
Oh, the one that's standing, that's hanging, just hanging by a
That's-
thread, is terrible.
That's
How big is it though? Is it 10 by 10, 20 by 20?
why,
Because that's where you bury everybody when you take that down, you know.
Well, no, the only thing we know for sure is where the shed is.
Well, maybe
There's
nobody
nobody buried under.
Right, so if you take it out, that's where if you have 20 more, you put them right there, if you have the room, then you
There's
have.
some potential.
It's a pretty big
We can
house.
take that out.
Yeah, so you take that
More
out,
than 20 by 20.
But you could also look at other alternatives to
we could
improve
straighten that off. and that's
There
what
are methods, to Joe, to your point, there are methods to start that layout, a grid pattern of how that field's supposed to be established, and maybe it'll give you a loose idea of where people are buried. We had met with the cemetery sexton and director of Arlington Gardens over on Compton, and he had indicated that, based on what we told him, that he could probably go out and, as long as he knows where one grave is and that's where it should have been, he said most of them are laid out in a pattern, and he could probably start to, if he looked at it enough, he could figure out the pattern, and he could give you a loose idea of how it's laid out. So there are ways. Is it a perfect science? No, especially over there.
And then we can then develop the pattern based on the correct manner in which they're doing it for any future areas after that, so that we can ensure that it's
Substantial.
I agree with
Just from
you.
what I know, and wherever they bury people, like buried on top of those, and every one of them was previous. I mean, a lot of these were old, they're in pine boxes, so
And then
when
some
he's
of
in
it
there,
around.
when he's in there dig, you can't even feel what he's hitting. It's not like he's in a hole or anything. Pine box from, years ago, 50 years ago. They don't even know.
How long has it been a cemetery? Do we know that?
There's some stones back there, I would say.
1800s.
To the 18 Civil War era.
And there are some veterans, there are quite a few veterans from the Civil War. The Civil War.
There's some old stones. There's a lot of things we take it off. We really can. There's some, I think, last time I was on here, we were in the 1860s, 1850s. It's been there for a while.
It's a mess.
We'll move from cemeteries to playgrounds. Updates on that real quick.
Yeah, as the board's aware, we received the community development block grant funding to basically relocate the playground that's on the old Frost School property in Seven Hills. As you know, we've had quite a bit of issues with the location of the current playground due to its proximity behind homes and things where the police couldn't adequately monitor it and make sure that there wasn't a lot of criminal activity going on there, which there has been, and unfortunately, it's just in a difficult area. So the idea is to move it closer to the main entrance.
Here's the cross site, the existing playground is here. We'd like to move it generally in this area right
Which I think would be the best thing to do.
here. It's in the back, or the same, it would be basically like anything else in somebody else's rear yard.
Right.
Right up against the house, rear yard. And that's the location. The pole is the telephone pole here with the light on it, so it
Right.
provides some light.
And that's when you first go to drive into it, isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Back in the corner where all kinds of
Pleasantville Drive.
Pleasantville, Misty Hill.
Is that access there?
Yeah, you can access it from there.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a very, you just can't monitor it. So moving it over there is, I think, going to be better for everyone involved.
The grant's gonna pay for.
The grant paid for all. We will come out of pocket one
Right.
day.
Make sure that we do not come one nickel.
I got it.
I think it's the right thing to do. We can do it and move it up.
It's going to be improved equipment.
Absolutely.
In fact,
We're going to move the next.
not only are we not coming out of pocket, but we're researching and actually applying for what they call a Kaboom grant, which will actually let you extend the $25,000 we already got in grant money. They'll put in an additional $15,000 so that we can do a little bit more of an upgraded playground at still no cost to the township. So
Oh, I didn't know they were going to add another 15.
we haven't received it yet, but we've applied for it.
They can.
We're going to apply it fairly, it has a very short turnaround, which is why I said, let's do this. It's we should know, yes or no, whether we're going to get a grant. Some of the dollars in the 25,000 is going to have to be spent on like a sidewalk back to it. You've got that another 2,500 playground mulch. There's some other costs that about almost $90,000. sort of not put equipment costs, so it came down to $15,000 for the equipment. So that's where we can get the boom brand, it'll actually bring that back up.
They go out and besides the booth.
That's the name of it,
Well, like the caboose.
premonition.
Are we going to send notice to people up there for doing this, or?
Yes.
We don't.
Yeah, we're gonna wait until we know exactly.
See what we're gonna
So you call
And then just the last thing is, just a reminder, the solid waste bid proposals come in.
May 15th.
So wait on that, so we'll let you know, that'll probably not have, well, we may have something for our May work session. For the community action agency, that you discussed, that you have been
Right, I've been nominated
by
to serve
community action.
agency to serve on their board. I just, when they first notified me, I thought about, first of all, I wanted to research just to see how many of our residents use that program as a resource. And I was amazed at how many 45231 zip code were using that site and this program. It's like a heat program. It's like helps on the housing. So I am going to go ahead and go and take the board position. Just
Accept the
wanted to let you
nomination.
guys know. Yeah.
that sounds great.
Yeah.
We have new entity from executive session tonight. We want to do the two resolutions. We can do those first. They don't anticipate any action after the executive. But we have two resolutions, 24, 215, and 25, 215.
Okay, and I'll start with resolution number 24, 2015, authorizing the private sale of unneeded and unfit for use property in the Drug Abuse Reduction Task Force Department.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Vernon? Aye. Mr. Honorow?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next resolution is number 25, 2015, authorizing the private sale of junk motor vehicles which were titled to the township pursuant to revised code 4513.61 and revised code 4513.62, and which are not needed or unfit for use in any township department.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Vernon?
Aye.
Mr. Honorow?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
And then for the executive, as I said, I just need the board to adjourn into executive purpose to consider, there are several items in this same issue, but to consider the employment dismissal, discipline, and or compensation of public employees.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No. Mr. Vernon?
Aye.
Mr. Honorow?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
We're in executive session.